Oi, you know what time it is? You're tuned in listening to Dry That Aussie Metal Guy. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of his content when it drops. And remember, stay brutal, you mad dogs. Roof!
G'day, hey, how you all going? It's Dry That Aussie Metal Guy here with Crannk.com and with that metalstation.com. So tonight, wherever you are in the world, it is a great pleasure that I'm getting to have a chat with Autumn, who I did have a chat with last year for her EP, Hail the Forest Dark, from Forever Autumn, of course, doom metal band. Autumn, thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Nice to be back.
It's always good to get a chat with artists again for a second time, and it's really cool to get to chat with you about this EP. But how's the last year been for you, and how did that release go with Hail the Forest Dark for you?
Well, the year has been busy, making a new EP and just with life, things that life happen. It's been great making this EP, and I'm really excited that it's close to being released. It's getting there. I'm excited. It's gonna be good.
Yeah. Well, it's a great EP. I'm very lucky that I have got to listen to it as well. It does come out 3rd of February. You must have dove straight into this almost straight after Hail the Forest Dark, eh?
It really did. Some of it was even being created at the same time as Hail the Forest Dark. And I delved right back into my acoustic roots and my acoustic doom, and wanted to bring forth something more traditional Forever Autumn after Hail the Forest Dark.
Yeah, can you tell me a little bit about some of the inspiration for this EP as well?
Sure. A lot of the inspiration comes from where a lot of my inspiration usually comes from natural and preternatural worlds, a lot of ancient blood sorcery and all sorts of good stuff like that. But this one really needed to come back to the forest, to the loam in the earth. It really needed to come back to the misty mornings and those eerie sunsets. It was the inspiration was. It's weird because I told you it was happening around the same time as Hail the Forest Dark, so there was an odd dichotomy there. But I think both of them worked out pretty well, and I'm satisfied with the new one.
Yeah, we did talk a bit about that too in the previous interview. If people want to go check that out as well, we did talk a lot about the roots and the inspirations and that for Forever Autumn as well. And you also got working with Aaron again from My Dying Bride, which is really cool on that opening track. Tell me about that one, The Forest and the Night, and working with Aaron again.
Well, that was very exciting. It was good to have Aaron on board. I remembered that when I showed him some of my work from Howls in the Forest at Dusk, he was very excited, and there was one song in particular he really enjoyed and wanted to, said things like, I wish I could sing on something like that. So I had him for Hail the Forest Dark, but it wasn't quite, I still wanted him for something more traditional Forever Autumn. And that's where he came in. I was writing the song, The Forest and the Night. And during the writing of the song, it just came in my head. This is the perfect place. Aaron has to be that other role. He has to be this other voice. There's no way around it. This is just perfect. When I was making the song, I could just hear him in the back of my head. And luckily, he agreed to do it again. And we made an awesome song that's going to premiere really soon.
Yeah, well, it's a great track, and it's also a really good one to kind of hit off with as well. When you're doing songwriting, I'm curious, what's your ideal setting for songwriting? Do you like to go out in amongst nature in the forest, or do you like to sit at home? Tell us a little bit about. I'm curious now. We're talking, what your ideal songwriting process is and how you kind of immerse yourself in this. Because when I listen to your music, and I say that I did earlier on when I was listening to Hail the Forest Dark, it's kind of you put your headphones on and you really immerse yourself in it, as well as which what I did with this one. But I also went for a nice drive, cranked it up, and it was really, really cool. So I'm interested as what your process is for it all.
Well, it's interesting because I do take walks and wanders in the forest, and I do have a good time with that. But strangely, a lot of my work, as with my visual art, it just kind of happens. So with my songwriting, I might be just strumming something cool that pops up, or make a little thing on the guitar, and maybe some words start to come in. Or I make something fun and I have the perfect words, or I just have words and there's no music yet. And then the music creates itself around that. So the inspiration does come from outside and inside. But the songwriting seems to take place at all hours of the night, at all hours of the day. It just pops in and happens, and you have to seize the moment when it does.
Yeah. And when you're doing these songwriting, because you do have these different modes, especially with some of your earlier stuff up until now, like, pardon me, but bear with me.
No worries. I have water too.
But for doom metal, when I listen to your music, I've listened to some of your stuff, and it's so different. And with this one, you've gone kind of with a Hail Forest Dark, and you've gone with a heavier, and the sound, but also the instrumentals. It's people have to listen to it to really get what I'm saying, because it comes across as like this real heavy black metal, and then the instrumentals through it are just absolutely amazing. Like, it really does draw you away as well. And it's just kind of these contrasting, with these real, sometimes abrasive, aggressive lyrics and vocal delivery. But when the instrumentals behind it, it's it's really crazy. It's really good though, in a good way. I mean that in the best possible way.
Thank you. It was very important that that the record could be listened to in headphones, that you could be in the moment. Like, it happens around you when you're listening to it. It feels like you're in it when it's happening. And that was a very important feel that I wanted to convey, and I think came out better than I thought.
Yeah, it must be a joy working in the doom metal scene, because not only can you have these avant-garde doom albums, but also there's really other stuff that does take you, like, kind of just can be mellow as hell, and you can kind of sit back with a bowl of weed and just chill out, and and it has full of different moments as well. So it must be fun working and creating in the doom scene as well. What's it like also in the doom scene in the area that you're in?
Well, the doom scene has been really good for me for a very long time. A lot of my early exposure to things happened on doommetal.com, and I used to have I still have a lot of contacts that I made through that so many years ago. But trying to remember what the question was.
Yeah, just what's it like being in the scene at the moment, in the doom metal scene? Well, how's everything going? I do these long-winded questions, people, where I'm kind of going somewhere, then I realize I'm not going anywhere at all.
Well, where I am, I'm in small town USA, so there's not really much of a doom scene here, unfortunately.
Damn.
So a lot of what I have to do happens remotely, or I travel. But collectively in the doom scene, there are amazing things happening. A lot of my friends are releasing new records, and there are festivals happening, mostly in Europe and things like that. But
well, that's where the joy of the internet these days, Autumn, like you can kind of be disconnected but connected as well. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Got friends all over the world through what you're doing, but you're still in this little area that, you know what I mean?
It's amazing. The internet has been instrumental in getting a lot of this done. It's detrimental at the same time, because it's the internet.
Positives and negatives, isn't it?
But it's been so good for getting my work out to the people that need to hear it. And that's what's really important to me. And in the doom scene, I'm constantly honored to be able to be in that scene, because it's just such an amazing place to me. And I know a lot of people in the scene might not agree that Forever Autumn could be doom.
Oh, bloody oath it can be. You got Aaron Stainthorpe, My Dying Bride on there. What more could you be from doom?
That's true. I'm going to take that and run with it. That's perfect.
Exactly. Tell us a little bit about the next track on the EP there, Death Folk.
Well, Death Folk was it wanted to be my acoustic death metal song. I wanted it to be very da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and then just stop, like you would expect on Cattle Decapitation or something like that. And I thought, when I was creating it and just made this really cool riff, if I can just scream over this in Latin, I think it'll be perfect. So then came the words Exilium in Corpore, and Death Folk was born.
What's that roughly translate to for like Aussie bogan like
in
me?
body?
Yeah, yep.
It's kind of like an exile in body, like
Yep.
we're doomed to live in these forms, and or at least for a certain amount of time, and it's almost an exile from the place that we come from
Yeah, really, really cool
to
track.
inhabit this physical world.
Yeah. Tell us about the next one, Incense and Deer Skulls.
Incense and Deer Skulls is the instrumental that began as kind of a soundtrack to a performance piece I wanted to do. I was going to cover myself with skulls and birch bark and kind of move about the edge of a forest somewhere and invite people to come see it. And I needed to make sound for it, sound art. And ultimately, the performance piece fell away as the music piece became to be more, came to be more in depth, more prominent, and became, came to a life of its own and became what we now know as the instrumental on the record, which a lot of people have called very avant-garde. And it really takes a lot of these sounds I've been working with, and moving it a little away from traditional Forever Autumn into opening up directions which we may be able to follow in the future.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I've been getting into a lot more instrumentals. I found the last few years, kind of last 5 years, I've only really kind of been getting into doom metal like the last 5 years. And through that, I've kind of discovered so many bands, but also these really, really cool doomy instrumentals that are just absolutely dope that I'm spewing I never gave the time of day to before, but now I'm absolutely bloody loving. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or just more appreciating what it's about as well.
Yeah, there's great stuff out there, and I'm glad that you're discovering it.
Yeah, it's cool because kind of let the music do the talking as well. Sometimes we probably, get told too much or lyrics and, kind of letting the song speak for itself and everybody kind of getting their own interpretation out of the instrumentals and kind of what they're feeling, the music hitting them in the soul and kind of what they're vibing and feeling off the music, not someone going, this is what it is, this is what it's about, or an instrumental. You can just kind of get lost in it and each one is going on their journey, their own, through their mind as well when they're really vibing out to it.
Yeah, it's something very important to my work that I can tell people what it means to me and where the inspiration came from, but it's very important that people will come and experience it themselves. And like you just said, be able to get into it, find their own place, find their own meaning, and really draw out the medicine that's important to them that they can take. And
that's exactly it, because music is subjective to me. It kind of grinds my gears at times where everyone's like, oh, if I listen to this band and then you'll hear 20 people go, oh, you're talking about that band. If you're getting something out of that band and you're feeling something and that's giving something to you, regardless of what band it is, enjoy it. That's what music is here for. It's the oldest, form of what we've been doing as a human for how bloody long. If you're getting something out of it, regardless of what it is, if you're getting something out of it, enjoy it. People, stop ripping someone down for enjoying their music. That's why I've always loved music. It's just subjective. And if you're getting something out of it, that's special.
That's perfect. That's a great way to phrase it. And it's very important to me as well.
Yeah. Tell us about Dried Herbs in Water.
That song, I wanted to do a funeral doom-esque, but acoustic funeral doom. I had very skepticism in my mind when I was creating it. And the words kind of came from this strange thing I wrote at some point that needed to happen. And it really takes, I'm an avid tea drinker. I drink a lot of tea. And there's something meditative about that cup of tea sometimes. And it's really important to really show that, but in a visceral way, with some of the things like in chipped ceramic, stained and worn and things like that. And the song builds up and builds up until we get to that culmination at the end where the really heavy part kind of drives you in. And by that time, it seems like you're so lost in the work that it's too late to get out, even if you don't want to be there anymore. And it just happens, and you have to kind of let it come to you and experience it in all the ways we've been talking about so far.
Exactly. And the final track on there, the Under Shadows of Unwin.
Yes, that's a title that I've had in the back of my head for many years, and it finally became a song. And the words came to me while I was writing it. The chords came together, Under Shadows of a Noon, and I don't know what to say about it. It was the perfect closure for the album. I like to have in most of my work a good kind of strummy acoustic song that's very meaningful and kind of full of spirit. And this was my way to accomplish that on this record.
And we're working with John still, your cellist there as well, John
We're working
McGrath
with
as
John
well.
still.
And
Yes,
you played every other instrument on there too?
I do. Actually, I do the cello on Incense and Deer Skulls.
Yep.
But the rest of it, I have John doing the cello like usual. But recording can sometimes be crazy with schedules, so I said I'll just do it myself, and that's how it became a little bit stranger than usual. But I do play as many instruments as I can get my claws on, and just love picking them up.
Yeah, and as with the last one, you kind of record, produced, and engineered, and sent it off to be mixed and mastered. Did you?
I did.
Yeah. How long did that process take for you? Kind of sitting there doing that?
Well, when I sent it off to get mixed, it actually went faster than I imagined.
Nice.
So that came back to me very quickly. And I've been using Jack Control at Enormous Door Mastering in Texas, and he's been doing like Dark Throne and stuff. So he's good. And he's been really great. He helped with the previous record, Hail the Forest Dark, and does an amazing mastering job and really gets the music and gets Forever Autumn. And I think waiting for that to come back was a little nerve-wracking, but I trusted him and I knew he was going to do a great job. Just like with the mixing, my friend Robbie Beyer, and he does an amazing job mixing whatever I do. Well, He kind of wants to stay with the acoustic things now because he had a hard time with Hail the Forest Dark, but that's just because we were doing raw black metal.
Yeah, raw black metal. And the cover art, you've released the cover art, haven't you?
I have. It should be somewhere.
There we go. I'll bring it up on screen for us. There you go, people. There's the cover art for it. Best place people can get along and support as well.
The cover art, I did a little photo shoot for myself that day. I had constructed out of these skulls and ropes and twine and hooks and things, this apparatus for my head. And I took a roll of photographs that ultimately didn't come out because I used film. And I had to take another one another day, which didn't work out quite as well either. But during that first shoot, I just snapped a picture with my Polaroid camera, and that's what you see for the cover art is just my simple Polaroid.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's a cool, striking image, eh?
Thank you.
Yeah, really good. And you can grab that one over on Bandcamp. There are pre-orders up for that one as well. And you've got the Death Folk one there as well, which is really cool. People can go check over. I know you're over there on Spotify, but I really do enjoy platforms like Bandcamp. Because when
I do too,
artists,
I'm on Spotify because I have to be.
Yeah, I know it's the nature of the beast, people. I'm the same. I understand.
I actually don't have Spotify and I don't listen to it, but I make sure my music is accessible there for people.
Yeah, then everyone kind of listen to it. That's a good thing though with the scene we're in. I believe that a lot of people like me and people that are in the metal, hard rock, and you kind of punk scenes, we tend to go buy albums if we like it. We're still buying vinyl, which is good. CDs, you got 100 CDs and 200 vinyl, people. So everybody get on it, pre-order them, buy them, get them. So that run is totally done because that's the good thing about the scene. We still go buy stuff. You know what I mean? Things like
exactly coming.
Physicals. That's the one. You got to have. It's just something about having those physicals and the artwork. There we go.
The test pressing is complete.
Here we go, people. Get onto it.
Now we just wait for the real thing.
Yeah, the limited run. And it's really good to see. And I know, especially in the doom metal scene, we're all big and we are all great supporters as well. We'll go buy those.
We're great supporters of each other. And I'm constantly honored to be in this scene. Yeah. However widespread and meticulous it may get.
It is as well. It is towards the end of the year as well, Autumn. I've been asking people this time of the year, what are some of the highlights that have been for you over the last year as well, now it's winding out?
I think, well, one of the highlights was definitely in August. I went down to Baltimore in Maryland and played the Maryland Folk Metal Festival. And I had two people from the band Goblin Hovel that was going to perform. They also performed with me. It was the first time working with them, but I had finally had more of a rounded out feel. It's hard to get a drummer for some of these live shows, and John couldn't make the trip. So I had new people play who loved it, enjoyed it. They were hoping to play again, and the crowd had a great time. We sold lots of records and T-shirts, and it was great to be back on stage because it had taken a little while. Earlier in the year, in March, we played at the Satanic Temple in Salem, Massachusetts, and that was, of course, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And we had our pictures with Baphomet statues and all sorts of
That was
things.
what I wanted to get on me originally, and I ended up with something else. I was going to get a big Baphomet of the satanic statue at the temple, man. That was really, really cool. That would have been a fun experience getting over to there as well. Nicest bloody people, no religious side, nicest people out there, like metalheads.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. They appreciated my work, and I was actually there with a piece for a art show that was going up there, and I suggested I asked them if it would be okay if I brought my band and we played a little set for the opening, and they wholeheartedly agreed, and we had a great time.
That's
and I
pretty
hope
cool.
to go back again because they were very nice people, and Baphomet was wonderful too. I got to sit on his lap, so we were good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Anything else there? Is that about it?
That's actually the only two shows we had in the past year. They're hard to come by, especially after pandemic things. But every time it's so special to just be able to create, perform. I enjoy it, and I love seeing the people listening to it and how they get enthralled. And sometimes they'll just sit on the floor in the middle of a gig somewhere and just go into their own space, and it's magical.
That's about where we'll leave it, Autumn. This has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so very much for coming to talk about Crowned in Skulls. It, of course, does come out 3rd of February, 2023. There is a limited run of 100 CDs and 200 vinyls, so do not delay. Get onto it. foreverautumn.bandcamp.com. Get over there, buy it all up. Autumn, thank you very much. Any last words, shout-outs? Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to add in there, my friend?
No, I'm just happy to see you again. I hope we can do this on the next release. And everybody, check out the EP when you can. It's going to be great.
That's it. Forever Autumn, Crowned in Skulls. Put it in the stereo, crank it up really loud. The neighbours are going to want to hear it as well. Cheers, mate. Done.
Oi, you're tuned in to Jai That Aussie Metal Guy, so make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of his sick content. And remember, stay brutal, you legend.